Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
This song is called Fortunate Son. It's by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Some folks are born made to wave the flag, ooh, that red, white, and blue. When the band plays Hail to the Chief, they point the cannon at you. It ain't me, it ain't me, I ain't no senator's son. It ain't me, it ain't me, I ain't no fortunate one. Some folks are born silver spoon in hand, oh, don't they help themselves? When the tax man comes to the door, or the house looks like a rummy, say, yeah, well, it ain't me, I ain't no millionaire's son. It ain't me, I ain't no fortunate one. Some folks inherit star-spangled eyes, they send it out to war. When you ask them how much should we give, oh, the only answer is more, more, more. Well, it ain't me, I ain't no military son. It ain't me, I ain't no fortunate one, no. It ain't me, I ain't no fortunate one. It ain't me, I ain't no fortunate son.
Aren't you intrigued about this service? I am. Welcome, everybody. My name is Eileen Wired. This is Taos United Community Church, and you are all welcome here. No matter what you believe, what you used to believe, what you'd like to believe, what you'll never believe. This house of prayer belongs to you, just because you're here, and we're glad you're here. Okay, so are there any announcements, Jerry?
Well,
Bless you.
just to say that the survey is closed. We had 31 responses, a lot of happiness, and there will be more coming from that. The council and Eileen as chair of the search committee are meeting on Tuesday to process some of the findings coming out of it, but it's exciting.
Very good. Yes. So we'll find out what everybody thinks. That'll be great. Okay. I have an announcement just about the search committee. Some people are curious about where we're at with this. And we are just at a short hiatus just until the survey is completed and we get the information, mostly to know whether we're looking for a full-time or a part-time pastor. And if that is the case, if there is a change in that, then we'll need to do something with the profile, the church profile, and send that out. So that's really what the holdup is right now, and we expect to get right back on it as soon as we find out what the word is from all of you. So thank you for that. And now I'd ask that you have a comfortable seat, take a little bit of a shut-eye if you want. Take a deep breath. And when you breathe in, think love. When you breathe out, think anything less. Breathe in, breathe out. The opening prayer today is from Macrina Whitaker. She writes a book called Seasons of Your Heart, and it's full of wonderful prayers. O Christ of the peacemakers, who are these dreaming dreams, carrying torches, building bridges? They walk in peace out where the wild things are. They pitch their tents in fields of violence. And all of this because they are at peace with themselves. O Christ of the peacemakers, create in me a peaceful heart that cannot stay at home. We have a tradition here at Taos Community Church of lighting candles. And so we'll sing a song, and the song is going to be number 32 in your binders, The Peace of the Earth. If you need a binder, it's back there. Michael's going to play, and we're going to come up with a prayer in our hearts, perhaps, an intention that we carry this morning. And we're going to come up here, light a candle, and place it in the bowl of sand on either side of the altar. And this will be a visual representation of what we carry that we can't readily see. So let's do that.
The peace of the earth be with you, the peace of the heavens too. The peace of the rivers be with you, the peace of the oceans too. Deep peace falling over you, God's peace growing in you. The peace of the earth be with you, the peace of the heavens too. The peace of the rivers be with you, the peace of the oceans too. Deep peace falling over you, God's peace growing in you. The peace of the earth be with you, the peace of the heavens too. The peace of the rivers be with you, the peace of the oceans too. Deep peace falling over you, God's peace growing in you. The peace of the earth
Good morning, friends and neighbors. Let us hear now from 1 Kings chapter 2, verses 10 through 12, chapter 3, verses 3 through 14. David slept with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David. The time that David reigned over Israel was 40 years. He reigned 7 years in Hebron and 33 years in Jerusalem. So Solomon sat on the throne of his father David, and his kingdom was firmly established. Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of his father David, only he sacrificed and offered incense at the high places. The king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the principal high place. Solomon used to offer 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, "Ask what I should give you." And Solomon said, "You have shown great and steadfast love to your servant, my father David, because he walked before you in faithfulness, in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart toward you. And you have kept for him this great and steadfast love, and have given him a son to sit on his throne today. And now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David. Although I am only a little child, I do not know how to go out or come in. And your servant is in the midst of the people whom you have chosen, a great people, so numerous they cannot be numbered or counted. Give your servant therefore an understanding mind to govern your people, able to discern between good and evil, and for who can govern this, your great people?" It pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this. God said to him, "Because you have asked this, and have not asked for yourself long life or riches, or for the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern what is right, I now do according to your word. Indeed, I give you a wise and discerning mind. No one like you has been before you, and no one like you shall arise after you. I give you also what you have not asked, both riches and honor, all your life. No other king shall compare with you. If you walk in my ways, keeping my statutes and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your life."
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am reading some quotes from Menno Simons, born in 1496, died in 1561. He was a Roman Catholic priest from the Friesland region of the Low Countries, who was excommunicated from the Catholic Church and became an influential Anabaptist religious leader. Simons was a contemporary of the Protestant reformers, and it is from his name that his followers became known as Mennonites. This is the first quote from Menno. "True evangelical faith cannot be dormant. It clothes the naked, it feeds the hungry, it comforts the sorrowful, it shelters the destitute, it serves those that harm it, it binds up that which is wounded. It has become all things to all creatures." His second quote, "The regenerated do not go to war, nor engage in strife. They are children of peace who have beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks, and know no war." His last quote, "We who were formerly no people at all and who knew of no peace are now called to be a church of peace. True Christians do not know vengeance. They are the children of peace. Their hearts overflow with peace. Their mouths speak peace, and they walk in the way of peace." Menno Simons.
Jerry, so that, oops. Yeah.
Good morning. And I have to welcome my brave neighbor Ginger, who came out on my urging. She will never be the same. And I should also say, while this is getting started, I'm a partner of Taos UCC. Tribally, I am Mennonite. I grew up that way and am rooted in that tradition. Sometimes the best response to Scripture is just say no. As you heard these innocuous little passages from early in the book of 1 Kings, they document the death of David. They skip a few verses and then tell the story of his successor Solomon, seeking and receiving the gift of wisdom from the Lord. Okay, I get that. I believe a prayer for wisdom can be delivered earnestly by any of us with good result. God is good. So thank you, Vatican II scholars, for cutting and pasting these brief passages for our edification today. But before the news of David's passing, the book of 1 Kings opens with David's final words, last words of his life, his instruction to Solomon to bring the gray head of two of his enemies down with blood to Sheol. Signing off. Only with these final words spoken does David sleep with his ancestors, leaving Solomon to mount the throne of his firmly established kingdom. So there's business to be taken care of. Solomon does not hesitate. In the few verses left out of this selection, between David's death and Solomon's mounting of the throne and sharing this prayer, Solomon sends his hitman Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, out to strike down these two men fingered by his father. And the good book tells us Benaiah struck them down and they died. Solomon graciously grants a third man house arrest in Jerusalem. But when this man leaves the city 3 years later to retrieve his wandering goats, you guessed it, Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, is sent out to strike him down. And the scripture tells us Benaiah struck him down and he died. Solomon, in the meantime, negotiates a pact with the Pharaoh to marry the Pharaoh's daughter. He finishes building his house and the temple and repairs the walls of Jerusalem. And finally, then it's back to today's passage about praying for and receiving the gift of wisdom. As I said, sometimes a person just has to say no. A kingdom is a kingdom is a kingdom. Domination is its nature. Patriarchy is its rule. The wealth skimmed from its people is its throne. The sure threat of violence is the foundation on which it stands. Civil governments seem necessary to order secular life. All, in their way, are kingdoms. As we know, Jesus lays out a different way, what Pam Shepard, who founded Taos UCC, calls the kingdom of heaven. Kingdom, as in family. In the kingdom, we share a cup of cold water with anyone thirsty. We share food and clothing with all in need. We walk a second mile with an authority who demands that we carry their burden for just one. We face with equanimity the person who strikes us. We welcome the child, all as children of God. We forgive without count and without grudge. It's a long list, bear with me. We lay aside judgment, understanding our own shortcomings. We give our last 2 cents in the service of God and others. We offer healing with confidence. We stand before rulers and judges speaking truth because we know to whom we are accountable. We live without a gun or knife to protect ourselves. We stop to help the wounded or broken. We walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fearless and at peace. We know that we are beloved. We know that reality is to be fully one with the Spirit, with all creation. We know that there are no borders that separate populations. We know that the kingdom is fully within us, as the Gospel of Thomas says, and without us, world without end. We accuse no one, knowing that we are not accused. We understand the difference between capital S, spirit-connected self, and the small s, narcissistic and falsely isolated self of fear and greed. We know that in right relationship, there is enough. Enough for us, enough for our neighbor, enough for the world. These, friends, these are not platitudes. They're the truth, here and present, yours and mine. They're not for taking, but for accepting, for practice and sharing. We live in a time of increasing violence and increasing risk of being violated. We need to practice kingdom citizenship at every turn to prepare ourselves to understand our true kingdom and to live by its claims when other claims assert themselves. I come from a tradition of people who believe that a kingdom citizen never takes up arms, that no war is right or just, that a person of faith stands fearless in the face of evil. Some say, and I get it, this is both stupid and cowardly, not to defend one's kingdom of earthly citizenship. I don't know about the stupid part, but on the cowardly front, I note that in the 16th century, 5,000 of these people were burned at the stake, hung, beheaded, or drowned by fellow Christians because of their beliefs. They died brave, true, without resistance, often expressing love for their oppressors to the very end. Dirk Willems, in the year 1569, was imprisoned in the Netherlands for his beliefs. He was not passive, but neither was he violent. Dirk escaped his cell. He's running. He's chased by his captors. He crosses the canal, frozen. His captor chases him also across the canal and breaks through the ice. Dirk Willems rescues his captor. And to express their thanks to him, he was returned to prison, tortured, and executed. I recognize and honor deeply the courage and suffering beyond imagination of those who choose or are forced to go to war. But I personally, and I think with Jesus at my side, hold that nonviolence is the call and true rule of the kingdom. And practiced creatively, it can yield surprising results. I'll illustrate with an extraordinary example of the power of one person, two people, 100 people, thousands of people deciding and standing for the kingdom of heaven in a time of horrific evil and violence. When I think of World War II, the first images that come to mind for me are the horrors and unspeakable evil of the Holocaust. Nothing compares. Next in line for me are the beaches of Normandy, where so many died in the violent struggle to defeat the Nazi army. This war is perhaps the strongest argument for just war and for the case of violence defeating violence. But what if at least some people made a nonviolent choice in the face of the aggressor? In Denmark, that happened. And this is a quote from Wikipedia under Rescue of the Danish Jews. The Danish resistance movement, with the assistance of many Danish citizens, managed to evacuate 7,220 of Denmark's 7,800 Jews, plus 686 non-Jewish spouses by sea to nearby neutral Sweden, during the Second World War. The arrest and deportation of Danish Jews was ordered by the German leader, Adolf Hitler, but the efforts to save them started earlier due to the plans being leaked on September 28, 1943, by German diplomat, George Ferdinand Duckwitz. The rescue is considered one of the largest actions of creative resistance, collective resistance to aggression in the countries occupied by Germany during the Second World War. And as a result of the rescue and of the following Danish intercession on behalf of the 464 Danish Jews who were captured and deported to the concentration camps, 99%, all but 102 of Denmark's Jewish population survived the Holocaust. Duckwitz, the Nazi attaché to Denmark, alerted the Danish government and also made the advance arrangements with Sweden, with the Swedish government, to protect the Jews. Give some thought to that. What kind of courage of conscience did that take? From that one act, an expanding circle of individuals and organizations participated with financial and material assistance to smuggle these people to Sweden. A boat that regularly transported a lighthouse crew to an island off the coast of Denmark routinely included a detour to the Swedish coast, carrying 10 Jews at a time. Rowboats, kayaks, fishing boats participated. The Danish bishops called the entire Danish church into action. The Danish resistance movement regularly broke into rail freight cars that had been sealed by the Nazis. They helped Jews to board and then resealed the cars before they were ferried to Sweden. Denmark itself did not resist German occupation, having declared neutrality. As a result, it had one of the lowest casualty rates of the war. And I also note that Denmark, year after year, comes out as number 1 or number 2 on the list of the happiest nations on earth. A unique situation, yes, but I would say mostly unique because others have just not chosen it. Gandhi and his followers freed India from Great Britain with nonviolent resistance. The singing revolution of 1987 to 1991 was responsible for the nonviolent exit of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania from the Soviet Union. And of course, we know about the power of nonviolent resistance championed by Martin Luther King Jr. in our own civil rights movement. Friends, we cannot put Jesus and violence together. He told Peter to put away his sword in the very face of his own death. He was clear, instructing in that poignant moment that those who live by the sword die by the sword. And for the first 3 centuries, the first full 300 years of the Jesus movement, one could not carry a weapon and be admitted to fellowship. 300 years. And during those centuries was those centuries of pacifism, the greatest growth, the wildfire growth and firm establishment of that movement, all in the context of oppressive empire. That all changed, as we know, when the Jesus movement became Christianity, in faithful marriage to the government of Rome with the blessing of the church fathers under the reign of Emperor Constantine. The results are not admirable. The most devastating wars on earth since the birth of Jesus to this day, over 20 centuries later, have been fought on Christian lands by Christians, often against Christians. That, my friends, is a very long and ugly list. I'm going to share with you what for me it's a disturbing photo. It was taken by an acquaintance on his vacation this summer. If I can pull this off right. Okay, I've lost the Zoom bar at the bottom. Thank you, Michael. I need to be there. Thank you. There we go. As you can see, it's a tractor trailer painted with a flag, a fighter plane on one side, an eagle with talons extended on the other side, and in the middle, the suffering Christ saying, "I am the way, the truth, the life." We together in the United States epitomize this legacy of Christian violence. We could scorn this image and the people we proudly assume created it, but I assert that it is us. We arrived in violence. We won the revolution we celebrate through violence. We fought our bloodiest war among ourselves because our Christian nation could not come to terms with the violence of slavery. We steamrolled across the continent to the Pacific through violence. And beginning with the Monroe Doctrine, with Teddy Roosevelt at the helm of the Great White Fleet, that's what it was called, we claimed the resources of the world for us, calling ourselves a Christian nation. Our country collectively entered a catatonic state of shock when the World Trade Centers went down on December 11, 2001, an evil and horrific act of violence. Over 2,000 people perished. Nothing can justify what happened that day, nothing. Now I ask you to turn your minds to a few other things that have happened just since the turn of this century, in the last 24 years. 3 million people, mostly civilians, died in the Second Congo War. 9 governments participated. 8 of them used weapons supplied by the United States. 3 million people. We remain engaged in the rebel side of the Syrian civil war. At least 470,000 dead, more than 300,000 civilians. 85,000 civilians killed in our wars on Iraq. And another 50,000 by the Islamic unrest in its chaotic aftermath. 30,000 Afghan troops and 31,000 civilians killed in the Afghan war. Almost all the weapons used by the Saudis in the killing of 375,000 Yemeni citizens have been supplied by the United States. And we almost come to blows over parking spots at SIDS. Yes, it is forever true that there are always 2 sides. But if one side chooses not to fight, despite a million justifications for it, there is no fight. And the way to creative peace is opened. That is almost impossible for me, for us to take in. It's hard to take it in and accept and practice as Americans. We are so caught up in just the quiet comfort, the myth of peace that we live in. The United States of America is not a Christian nation, and in fact, there are none. The very term Christian nation is an oxymoron. I believe we have no idea what is coming for us. Perhaps Jesus does bring down nations. I think it more likely that they fall all by themselves through their reliance on violence. We have not begun to grasp, to understand, to feel the backwash of the wave of shock and awe we have sent across the planet. And I confess here, I cannot call myself Christian. It's too difficult, too messy to extricate the name from this 20th century legacy of killing. I am a follower of Jesus. I believe in the pervasive creative power of the Spirit, alive in me, alive in this room, that can choose and accomplish turning swords into plowshares. Our claim is to citizenship in the kingdom of heaven. And I invite you to join me today in recognizing that citizenship as something real, primary, and as it was in the early church, a complete contrast to the citizenship of the state. We can start with something simple but profound. Our answer to the call of arms, to the temptation of violence at any level can be just say no.
Amen.
It's our custom to follow with 2 minutes of silence, and Michael will bring us out with song.